What we're going to talk about today is a tube dress. And yes, this is the right journal. I'm now turning an old sketching journal into my sewing journal. So we're going to talk about the key measurements we need here. So this is the tube dress. I used to make this when I had wind and water out of my remnants. The only fabrics that I bought was this, because I no longer did yoga wear. So this is cotton spandex. Right, and I would make this one 30 centimeters wide, and depending, most of the time I did it 30 centimeters high as well, but I also did, that was for my extra small to my almost larges, right? Could fit in there depending on where they were large. Some of them were just large on the bottom, but they were at 12 or 14 at the top, so they could get away with this because I actually allowed for that in this one. This one here I made 35 centimeters to 45 centimeters depending on how much fabric I had in here. And then this one, the top one, right? This was, I know I've drawn a rectangle, but it was actually almost a square. So it was 45 centimeters wide and 45 centimeters deep, high, long. Anyway, and then on here, this was usually 1.2 meters, so 60 centimeters wide. And it was narrower, so it was usually only 20 centimeters, maybe 30 centimeters. It depended on how long I wanted it to fall. Like I would make some shorter, some longer, and some of them would come down like a little bit of a tube dress on the bottom, you know, like a proper rectangle. So then I would make this almost 60 centimeters longer. And then one of my regulars who's been bugging me about this lesson, and she's been very patient. So what I would then do is she's got one, it's beautiful. I would buy, when I used to go to Thailand to get my fabric, I would find beautiful lace or imitation lace, you know, but wove, you know, decorative kind of synthetic backed lace that I would put on there that would just, you know, really make the colors pop. But this was always black, and these were whatever fabrics I wanted. Didn't matter about the colors. So today I'm going to show you how to make this. And this 35 centimeters in 30 centimeters in here, it goes a long way because of the fabric. The fabric can be a cotton spandex, or we were talking about it the other day, it can be a cotton poly, or it's not that shiny. You don't want it shiny, you want it this nice soft, because it's over your boobs. You don't want, and if it's shiny, it'll slip. So trust me on that one. Nice knit that you would find gym wear in, gym wear that isn't shiny. Oh my god, gym wear is shiny. Anyway, cotton spandex, look at that, see what that looks like. Look at rayon spandex, make sure they're pretty similar, then you're good to go. So this top and this top, this is going to be my cotton spandex, are going to be my top and bottom. Can you see how, and look at this, this is really cool. That's got a split on the, oh my god, this is just going to make it so perfect. So what I'm going to do is make this the bottom part. So I'm going to cut that around about that long. And then this part is the top part. And all I've done is I've taken this, I love this print. I just love it. I just hate this shirt. It's like a men's tuxedo type with the feature up here. So what I've decided I want to do is try and cut this along here. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it around this way And I'm going to go from armhole to armhole. I'm going to get some of that breast in as well. So I'm just going to cut right across. Now what I've done is I've taken all the buttons off because I want to use them for something else. So I have got 6 beautiful buttons that are really nice bright red. I can use those in another sewing project because buttons are really expensive. So then I have that piece. So that's going to be my top part of my tube dress, and then I'm going to do the bottom part. Use this fabric because I think this split on the side here is just perfect. So again, I'm going to pin my hems together. So that they stay in line. What I'm going to do, just going to brush it, and I don't want this to be too, I'm kind of thinking this will be, that's 20, that's 40 centimeters. So I'm just going to leave that at 40 centimeters. This could almost be the top of a dress, so I'm not going to throw that out. I think that would make an awesome dress. Anyway, so I'm going to keep that to the side, and then that has my top and my bottom. Almost want to make that just as a tube top as it is and leave that as the bottom of it. That would be really cool. Actually, I think my daughter would love that. And next I want to use this fabric, which is a dress that I bought from a store called Cos in the States, really popular store. Now this one is Rayon spandex. So this is a Rayon spandex. So, and it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. We're talking about mixing you know, synthetics with natural fibers so that we can use more of that byproducts of petroleum in fashion without it having to be super thin synthetic. Now this one here, we want to make this 30 centimeters. We want to actually get rid of this hem out of it as well. So I'm going to put it along here, measure along my measurements on the side, and make sure, see if we can miss those pockets. 20, oh, so close, not quite there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these pockets off, because the way that they've made these pockets is so that they actually come out from the dress. So get rid of that one. And I'm going to go along the bottom of that and bring that out so I can lie that flat now without the pocket inhibiting my eye line. So that should have it so that we can actually cut that pretty confidently now. So I'm going to line these up. $15, $30, $40. this is wider so I can cut this out. So just going to go to 50. So my daughter's bigger busted, so I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. So, and then I think I have enough in here to make a second one. So I'm going to do that while I'm here. Yeah. This one is meant to be 45. So that's wide enough. So I'm going to cut to under there, under the sleeves, and there's still enough up there to make another tube top. So, I'm going to top stitch and overlock down these, and then you're going to turn it inside out, fold it over like that, and that goes across your boobs. So if you are bigger bust, make it bigger, like just add another 5. Remember, you got to double it, so you know, for 5 centimeters add 10 centimeters. Yeah, anyway, so that's, and you can actually make it so that it can be, I wouldn't make it that wide, but even that wide across your bust would be really nice. So, next step, putting them together. Okay, so what I've done is I changed my needle over to the ballpoint needle, and I went and did a top stitch. You can't even see it, but it's there. A top stitch and a overlocking stitch. Some countries call it a serger. So if you see that online, that's what it means. Anyway, so what that does is that makes your seams really bloody strong, because the last thing you want is your boob top popping over on the side. Would ZigZag do it? Yeah, it could. You want it tight, so you don't want your ZigZag to go like that. You want your ZigZag to go like that. So make sure you shorten this stitch length so that it comes down to that stitch length. Righto. Okay, so next part. This is how easy it is. So normally what I would do, I would turn this part, I'd already, you know, so I'd have whatever fabric I'd sewn up, and I'd just do the sides. Right, I would have that like that. Now this is a really, really easy part. I'm gonna love making this. So there are 2 ways of doing it. If you've done what I've done and you've salvaged a piece, right, so that means you're gonna have a seam on both ends. So then what you want to do is you want to make those seams line up with the edge of the top. If you have bought this fabric from scratch and you've cut it and you've just done one seam on the side, what I then do for that one is I put that seam in the center back so that you know which part of the dress is the back, you know, without having a name tag on it. It's just a little trick to be able to identify that. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take those side seams and I want you to line them up the side seam of the top. And you want to put it on the inside of the turned out panel piece, the fabric piece, the cotton. You want to line those up and pin those there. And it's just like how you put a sleeve in a sleeve armhole, right? You mark on the tube dress you mark the center there, and then what you do is you mark it to the center of the front, and I would just pin that there, flip it over, find that center, pin that, and then I would find the center of the back, which is pulling those sides taut and finding the center of that. And then I always like to sew from this side, because this, see how you've got that gap, you now need to sew and stretch that so that that closes. See that there? See, you want to stretch that, sew it, and that will create like a gathering. All right, so let's have a look. And then what you want to do is, after you've done the top stitch, you then want to go back and then do the overlocking or the zigzag, because what you want to do is really fortify your seams. All right, I'm gonna go do that. Okay, let's rock and roll. This is also gonna test the thickness of my, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move that pin to the top side, because I didn't do that the first time. So first thing you wanna do is anchor your two fabrics together with your backward and forward stitch. Right, this is the fun part. You just pull it and sew it. Of course, keeping the 1 centimeter seam allowance, yada yada yada. Make sure you space it so that it kind of falls into a line. I kind of got a little bit excited then, because it's the first time I've done this on a domestic. And just make sure you keep it even, Steven, and make sure you keep your fabrics lined up. And what you're not doing is you're not yanking, you're just kind of keeping it gently, gently, gently. You know, enough, but not too much. Right, so I've got that part done now, and now I'm going to make sure my 3 fabrics are all lining up. So sometimes what I do is, between that seam and the center front or the center back, I will find a halfway point and then pick it, hold it, pin the fabric in there so that my gathering is super even. So you're not seeing anything, you know, super straight. Oop, damn it. I pulled the wrong fabric then. You're not going to see anything super stretched. See, you guide it from underneath. Make sure your fabric doesn't sneak out. You want to keep it all within that 1 centimeter seam allowance. Again, come to here, find that halfway. Oh. Right on. I've caught it. I love overlocking. Don't have to do any stretching. You just got to feed it through. Make sure you grab both fabrics. Stay within 1 centimeter. we've done that seam and we've made that finished look of the straight thread overlocker, really strong, lasts forever, done for life, that one. So you got the pleats of the shirt there, still being able to be seen. That's top stitched down, so that won't open at all. And then that'll be a really comfy summer tube dress, tube top, wear that with jeans, wear it with tights, whatever the girls are wearing. So anyway, I've taken some things that I would have sent to a Lifeline and made a top for it for my daughter. Anyway, I hope that gives you inspiration on that one. I'll do take 2 next weekend, where I actually use this piece and the leftover of my elastics, my tops, to actually make the tube dress. So that's what you need. I just couldn't make that top. I couldn't use that fabric. So I'm going to use this top. Bottom, I'm going to make that a little bit, I'm going to have to sew into that to make that smaller. Then this is going to go on the bottom of that. And then I'm going to get another panel for in there. Okay, take 2 next weekend. Actually, you know what? That's probably better. I wonder if I got some denim. I've got some denim. That would look super cool with.